it does have a full, complete defense of self-defense.
And there's a hopeful element in the judge saying, he put all 4 rounds. Judge even says he puts all 4 rounds on target. I'm kind of confused on how this is reckless.
Yep.
Like you should be confused, Judge, and you probably should dismiss the charge because, I guess no, that's actually J&OV fodder, right? If they find self-defense in the shooting of Rosenbaum, but they try and do a compromise verdict on the reckless endangerment, that's when you make a motion for J&OV. Your Honor, they found self-defense here. There's no way they can find that he was recklessly shooting this guy. All 4 rounds were on target. I love Krause's like, well, not all of them. One of them only grazed him. It's like,
yeah. Well, the other thing is the 2 reckless endangerment counts. One, there's been no witness to testify for that. The so-called complaining witness never showed up in court. No testimony on that. So did he feel recklessly endangered? You have a victim who's not a victim, who's not even in court. And then Richie McGinnis said he was out of the way, that he did not feel imminently in danger. He stepped out of it before the shooting occurred. So in my view, there was sufficient evidence for him to give a directed verdict on there. And again, these are things he may have done if he'd known about the pretrial publicity, if he'd understood the risk. Because the other aspect was putting the basis for misconduct. Richard specifically told me not to say anything about Binger or go after Binger, because it was my idea from the get-go. I want to look at all of his cases and see if there's an extended pattern, because there almost always is. The guy was already misusing and abusing bail proceedings, misusing and abusing evidence proceedings to libel Kyle, to create pretrial publicity and prejudice. And he was like, no, he started yelling at me. He lost his temper. So that's when I was like, okay, it's going to be like that. But
if he doesn't, go ahead. Sorry.
I'll say if they had planned, because this is a guy that has a history of it, number one. Number two, was doing it in bail proceedings, constantly lying about Kyle. Lied about the address disclosure issues, lied about Proud Boys associations, lied about a whole bunch of things that he knew Kyle knew nothing about, lied about the okay gesture, lied about other aspects related to that, then lied in evidence, said certain evidence was going to prove certain things that it didn't, introduced it solely to create pretrial prejudice, knowing the judge was never going to allow it in. And then on top of that, misleads them in the opening statement, tried to suborn perjury by the witness who testified about their attempts to get him to change his testimony, and quite frankly, obviously did suborn perjury, because he put those car source people up on the stand, had to know they were lying on.
Oh my gosh,
pathologically. So you build the predicate of that, you braise it every single time with the judge. How much abuse are we going to have? How many violations are we going to tolerate? Are prosecutors above the law in Kenosha? Just over and over and over, so that when he crosses the line on the Fifth Amendment issue and then crosses the line on an evidentiary restriction issue, he's ready to pull the trigger. And again, he's ready to do so because he knows there's pretrial publicity that makes it tough to get a fair jury. That's good. Like, his whole thinking is, this is going to make Kenosha look good. The kid will get acquitted, prove what the facts are, all done. But if he knew the jury had pretrial publicity that prejudiced them, then he's like, I need to step in and I need to fix this now. I need to correct this now. I don't want Kenosha to be embarrassed again by hanging an innocent kid because of what happened. And that's where because he didn't know that one fact, it unraveled a whole host of decisions he could have made that would have been in Kyle's favor.
Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is, I think Binger made a critical mistake on the cross-examination of Drew Hernandez, who I thought Drew did he did great on direct, but on cross, he came across very unbelievable, very biased. I think he was way overselling his position.